Hi everybody, this is Craig Tiener for The Mindful Eye and the Daily Critique. I'm going to do another self-critique today. This one was inspired by some comments and questions and feedback that I got when I posted this image to my blog at Light Diary. I'll give you the metadata on this one. I shot it with a Canon Mark II 1DS, a 17 to 40 zoom at 17 millimeters and at f13. Exposed the file for a third of a second. I think I was probably shooting at ISO 100 here. And the location is Driftwood Beach on Jekyll Island, which is a barrier island off the coast of Georgia, one of my favorite beaches that I've ever photographed. And this is a scene I've photographed quite a few times. These rocks are in the foreground of quite a few shots that I've made in this area. One of the things that I like about this image is the idea with this sky of playing negative space shapes off of the dominant idea in the foreground. You've got two openings where the sky is sort of split here by almost an arrow, and those two openings rhyme the split in the rocks. So a little bit different. So much of the times it'll be a positive space shape of a cloud. We'll look at an image like that in just a second that I'll rhyme off of my foreground, and here's working with a rhyme of the negative space in the sky. The other thing that I was very consciously going for here was taking the light of the sun and splitting it right down the middle, working with the idea of the split in the rock. So centering this line and then centering the light of the sun and playing off of the design of the foreground. I love the time of day here. As long as I've been shooting and as many landscapes as I've shot, I'm still not one of these people that feels like these kinds of shots are passe. I still like to shoot them. I still enjoy looking at them in my own work and other people's work. So I like the fact that it's a sunrise shot, and I like the fact that the sun is caught up in enough humidity here that it's muted enough where it's not really blowing out or starting to get that real sort of edgy or kind of blossoming highlight look that digital still can create in these point sources of light. So I'm enjoying the fact that there's some detail and a pretty decent transition from the brightest part of the sun itself and the reflected sun out into the rest of the image. And I'm enjoying the color in the clouds, the backlight of the sun on the clouds. I love the warm around the edges and more of the cool in the middle. One of the comments that I got about this image is an issue that I knew that this image already had, and the funny thing is I tried to correct it, and I was curious to see if somebody would still get this feeling of falling out of the image right here, and almost immediately somebody did. I also got an email about it. And what's interesting is that I had tried to skew this side of the image up, and if you look close you can tell that I've done that to get rid of that feeling, and that wasn't enough. So one of the big reasons that I did this critique today was to just talk about dealing with these straight horizons in landscape shots. Let me answer a question real quick that somebody asked on my blog about this image. They said, hey Craig, if you have Canon's new 16 to 35 82 millimeter filter ring size f2.8 zoom, which is a very, very sharp lens, then why would you use the 17 to 40, which isn't as sharp? And I used it here because it was before I owned that sharper lens. In fact, the 17 to 40 now is just a backup lens in case I should drop my 16 to 35 in the water or break it or something. And so good question about that. And the idea of horizon is so powerful for us on so many different levels of consciousness. Being level to the horizon for a lot of people is the difference between feeling okay or being incredibly sick. If you've got motion sickness at all, mostly what's driving that is not being able to see the horizon and then moving in a direction towards the horizon where you're getting off of level. If you take a plane and tilt the wings and fly into the horizon at an angle, if you have motion sickness, you'll almost immediately get very sick. So the idea of the horizon feeling level is such a visceral thing for all of us. It's also very powerful from a visual standpoint, not just feeling. And in this image, having a horizon that's unbroken means that it's really going to get the viewer's attention. On the left-hand side of the image, it's very hard to see, but another island, St. Simon's Island, actually starts right here, and it creates a little bit of a mound of a landmass that starts to move the eye down and in this direction. And then the other thing that happens in this image, the horizon's unbroken. The brightest part of the image is over here. Most of the light is on this side. And on this side of the image, there are lines that, again, move in this direction that mimic this real subtle arc here. And all of that starts to create a feeling that the horizon is not level. Like I said before, I skewed the horizon up a little bit, and you can see that. If I brought a guide down here, you'd be able to see it. It wasn't enough to sort of correct this problem. And so what's interesting is that most of the time what I do, if I'm working traditionally, shooting these kind of tradition scenics on the water, where I am going to have a very clear view to the horizon, I'll do everything I can to break it up. A good example of